Hey y'all, it's Tay. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on my video. So today I want to do something a little different. I'm going to do a get ready with me. So if you want to see how I got this light makeup look and hear a little bit more about how I started my nonprofit and became passionate about helping trafficking survivors, then stay tuned. Hey y'all, I know I look a little rough, but I basically just woke up. I am at a different place, so I'm at my dad's house in Delaware. Today's the day after Christmas, so we all stayed up late last night and it's the next morning. So happy belated Christmas, if that's a thing. Merry Christmas to everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed time with you and your family, and let's get into it. Okay, so like I said, I'm out of town and I had to pack really light this trip, so I don't have all the makeup that I usually wear. To be honest, y'all, I don't wear makeup that often, but I have just a little bit of the makeup that I usually wear with me, so hopefully this video won't be too long. I'm gonna try to put whatever product I'm using on the screen as I put it on, and the mirror is this way. That's why I'll be looking this way as I'm talking. So yeah, let's get into it. This video is going to be about how I became aware of the issue of sex trafficking and how I feel like God revealed that this is part of my purpose to help trafficking survivors. Okay, so in 2017, I was a part of a small group for my church. I go to a pretty big church in Georgia, Gwinnett County. So I was a part of a small group, and at the time, I don't know if it was a small group leader or a girl in the small group, someone suggested that we do outreach with this organization called Out of Darkness. And I believe back then it was every Friday night, they do something called Princess Night. And basically they go out onto the streets of Atlanta and they give out roses to women on the streets. So we went to Princess Night, and basically we met at a church and we went with the organization and we went out into the streets of Atlanta. We went to this particular place in Atlanta that is known for trafficking and prostitution, like, you know, all of those things. It's pretty much this long strip of nothing but strip clubs and liquor stores. So we went there, and yeah, it was just amazing. I just fell in love with helping these women. For some reason, I just, like, my heart just ached for them, and I just, you know, felt a strong connection with them. So we met some really incredible women. They were very appreciative. So this organization, they had already been doing this ministry for, like, I believe like over 10, 15 years, every single week. So the women on the streets, they actually already knew. They pretty much expected that every week this organization would have a group of people coming to give them roses and to pray with them. So we gave these women roses, we prayed with them. I know this is not the correct brush, but this is all I brought. So yeah, I fell in love with, just doing the work. I just wanted to do it all the time. I remember getting into the car with my friends that night after we were done, and I was like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. I want to do this like every single night. And I remember them saying like, yeah, it was cool, but you're tripping, like not every single night. And I was like, no, I feel like I need to do this every single night. And like a fire just lit inside of me. So I knew that this was something different. This is something I had to continue to explore. So I remember that same week, I had sent an email to the organization. I looked up the organization. It was called Out of Darkness, and I didn't know anybody there at the organization, so I just looked them up on the website, and I just sent an email to the general email, like info@outofdarkness or whatever it was back then. So I told them, I don't know why, but I feel like God is like calling me to do this work, and I asked them if they were hiring. And at the time, I had the best job that I had ever had at that point in my life. I was making a lot of money. I actually was working at Girl Scouts of Atlanta at the time, and people think there's no money in nonprofits, but I was making a good amount working there. I worked in the corporate office, so that shows you how passionate I was. Like, I was willing to leave a really good job to help them out. I don't know, I guess it was just God that made me send them that email, because I was just super, super passionate, and like I said, like a fire ignited in me. So pretty much right away, I got an email, maybe like a day or two later, I got an email back saying, actually, we are hiring. And well, they didn't say that. They said, actually, our director would like to talk with you. So y'all, within a week, really within like 4 days, I was having lunch with the director of the program at that time. And it's a really small nonprofit, at least it was back then. So yeah, they got back to me right away. So from the time that I sent the email to the time I started working there, it was a week. Everything happened so quick. It was like nothing but God. So I had lunch with the director. We hit it off. It was a really nice lunch. She bought me lunch. She took me out and like asked me questions about myself, got to know me more. And yeah, pretty much was basically hired on the spot. So everything moved super quick. And basically what the position that they had at the time was to work at a safe home that they had in the Atlanta area. And basically what they did was, the safe home was there so that when they did different outreaches and they got the word out about their organization, the women were able to call a hotline 24/7, and we had volunteers to come pick them up 24/7, no matter what time it was at night. They would pick them up and bring them to the safe home. And then at the safe home, I would be there, and people in my position would be there to greet them anytime at night. So I worked overnight, and yeah, I was just there to greet them, to like admit them, to do admission, you know, go through their things and make sure they weren't bringing in anything they weren't supposed to. And of course, just there to pray for them, like answer any questions. And I was kind of there, kind of like someone just working at a home. It was kind of like a center, like a rehab recovery type center, but it was Christian based. So we had Bible study. There was usually no more than like 6-7 girls or women there at the same time. So it was a really small environment, but we were there to just love on them, help them recover. A lot of them were recovering from drugs and alcohol. And they also were, survivors of trafficking. So we were there to show them God's love and to welcome them into the safe home. They stayed with us for a few weeks at a time, usually like 2 to 3 weeks. And during that time, we had social workers or caseworkers that would help find them permanent places to stay, which were most likely rehab centers for 9 to 10 or 10 to 12 months. Those rehab centers, they were more long-term placements. So we were only short-term placements until we were able to find them a long-term placement, usually across the country, for them to get, more in-depth help with what they were going through. So I worked there for about a year, but I have some amazing stories while I was there. Y'all let me know down below if you want to hear some of the crazy story times that I have. But I really encountered God in such a unique way that I feel like a lot of people just don't understand, because that was a house of spiritual warfare. Like, I literally felt demons. We casted demons out of people, and it wasn't like some weird spooky stuff. It was legit. These people were coming straight off the streets. They were coming, literally detoxing from drugs, coming to us. And it was a lot of spirits in that house, but it was God's house. And, we were equipped to fight that. And it was just, I have a lot of crazy stories, y'all. Let me know if y'all care to hear about some of those stories, but it was an amazing time. It really helped strengthen my relationship with God, because not only did we see so many things spiritually, but we got to witness a lot of women being saved. And what it really taught me was that you know, that scripture says the love of Christ convicts us. Like, we didn't force Christianity down anybody's throat. We didn't force Jesus down anybody's throat. We were just there to love them. And literally, God's love was what made them want to change their life and like want to actually become saved. And a lot of women, like I was there for over a year. I think during that year, we helped like over 300 women. And they would come from all over the country to come to our safe home because the word had gotten out that I guess God was there and that, you know, a lot of women were being helped. So it was an amazing place to be there. It was hard. It was a lot of hard work, but it was worth it. It was really amazing. So I know my last video was about my second mission trip to the Philippines. But I actually went there for the first time in 2018. So while I was still working at the safe home, I took my first mission trip to the Philippines, and it was just life-changing. Like, once again, we dealt with a lot of spiritual warfare. It was a lot of, you know, healing and restoration that we got to witness among the women. And I got to see really how trafficking is affecting people differently across the world. So in Atlanta, I think a lot of people are aware now of how bad of an issue it is. But there is still a lot of misinformation out there. Like, people think that everybody has a pimp, and, you know, it's like how it used to be back in the day. Like, you know, all these pimps are abusive and, like, you know, it's like just taking their money up front and all this. And of course, you know, unfortunately that is still happening, but a lot of women that I got to know, you know, I'm still cool with some of them, like, you know, and they actually were able to recover from drugs and started their whole new life, and they got educated and they went to college and they got their children back. They got custody of their kids. They went on and got married, and like they have these brand new lives that you would never even know what they went through. But a lot of these women, they told me that, you know, they might have started off with so-called pimp. A lot of times they call them Romeo pimps, which basically a lot of women are convinced that those are their boyfriend. But, you know, it takes an outsider like us to say, no, sweetie, that's not love. Like, you know, your boyfriend should never suggest that you sell yourself for money. Like, that's not a boyfriend, that's a pimp. And it's a hard reality for a lot of people to accept, but it's more common than you think, unfortunately. But a lot of these women, they started off like that, but eventually they might have broken up with them, escaped from them, and they actually ended up selling themselves like on their own through different websites that I'm not gonna promote, but there were quite a few websites where women could post pictures of themselves and basically, you know, they sell themselves. And that kind of is more commonplace nowadays than, you know, the old fashioned, like, she got kidnapped, she's being trafficking by these, you know, these gang of, you know, traffickers. Is, you know, it still happens, but I don't think that's the majority anymore. Whereas in the Philippines, it was a totally different setup. And like I said, it was a whole separate street in the Philippines that literally promoted it. And the government knows exactly what's happening there. And like, it's been going on for years and years and decades. So it's really different all around the world. But the fact is, all of these women need help. And it's not just women, it definitely is men as well. But the majority of trafficking survivors are women. And yeah, the fact is that they all need help. And there are a lot of organizations helping them, but yeah, it's still a lot of people out there that need help. Don't talk about my nails, y'all. My press-on nails keep on breaking. I didn't have time to get my nails done before I left for Christmas break, so don't talk about my nails. But while I was in the Philippines, I really fell in love with these women and their stories, and I really became close friends with them in the Philippines, and the women that we took care of at the safe home in Atlanta too. So I really got to know them and I got close with them because honestly, y'all, a lot of them were my age. Some of the women were older, like in their 60s, 50s and 60s as well. And they have, been struggling with drugs and, just trafficking issues, all the issues that come with that. They've been struggling with that for decades. But a lot of women I got close to, when I stopped working at the safe home, I just felt like I had to do more. Like I couldn't just forget about them, right? So I felt like God gave me the vision while I was still working at the safe home. He gave me the vision for my nonprofit. Basically, what I noticed is that unfortunately, because we were able to help a lot of women, but unfortunately, a lot of those women, they ended up going back to the streets or going back to their trafficker. It happened more often than not. And I saw a lot of women choosing to go back to the life. And I would pray and I would just, wonder like, why would they choose to do that? Like I couldn't understand. Of course, it's a lot of spiritual warfare that goes, obviously the enemy doesn't want them to recover from drugs and be the best person that they can be and like reach their highest potential, right? So I can only imagine the torment that they were going through when they're trying to, completely change their life. So sometimes that would get the best of them and they would choose to go back. And I actually heard a statistic that it takes like 6 or 7 times for someone recovering to actually, for it to actually stick and for them to actually commit to changing. So it does take a while, but I started to wonder what I could do more to help that process, to lower that number, because that's a long time. And to be honest, y'all, the dark side of working at a place like that is that there were a couple women. I was only there for a year, but there was about 2 or 3 women, I believe, that didn't make it. They decided to go back to the streets, and yeah, we found out that they didn't make it. There was one girl that really, really hit me hard. I actually was the one that had to take her back because, like I said, we didn't hold them hostage. So if they decided for whatever reason they wanted to go back to the streets, people in my position, we had to drive them back to the train station. We had to take them back to where we got them. Basically, we can't hold them hostage, right? So as hard as that was a part of the job. So there was one particular girl I had to take her back because that's what she wanted. And yeah, we found out a couple days later that she had overdosed and she was left for dead pretty much with the people that she was with. And she was in her mid-20s. It was heartbreaking. But the flip side of that was, at least we know that the time that she spent with us, it wasn't in vain, because while she was there, she actually got saved. So I just praise God for that. Like, she literally got saved a couple days before she passed away. So God is so good. But that's just like I said, I have so many stories. Let me know if y'all want to know about those stories. But like I was saying, I felt like I needed to do more. And what I feel like God revealed to me was the women that were able to be successful in recovering were the ones that had mentorship and consistent community throughout their recovery process. So a lot of the women that decided to go back, most of the time it was because of the spiritual torment, but also because the people on the streets were their friends. Those were people that they knew. They didn't have a lot of family and true friends. So the people on the streets and the life on the streets, that's what they knew, that's what they were comfortable with. So God gave me the vision for my nonprofit, which is Restored from Within. So basically what we do is we partner with anti-trafficking organizations. Right now it's across Georgia, but we're definitely going to expand. So it's across Georgia. We partner with a few different organizations, and basically these organizations already have the women in their care, right? So we're coming in to provide that community. Our motto is commitment, community, compassion. So we are there to provide that extra support for women that have already made that first decision to change their life and to start recovering from drugs, alcohol, the emotional trauma of being trafficked, all of that. So they've already made that first step, right? And these organizations already have them. And what my organization does is we have a group of volunteers, dedicated, committed volunteers that go in every month to different anti-trafficking organizations, like domestic violence shelters and organizations that help specifically trafficking survivors. And we partner with them so that every month we come in, we plan fun events, we celebrate their birthdays, we give them restoration baskets, which are baskets full of goodies specifically catered towards women, like nail polish, face masks, journals, Bibles, all of that. So we go in every month and we give those baskets to these women. And I started it in November of 2020, so we just celebrated 2 years. And God is so good. Yeah, we're always looking for more volunteers. Like I said, I do plan to expand to different states. So if you know of any organizations in your state that might benefit from what we do, please shoot me a DM on Instagram. My link is in the description. Yeah, just shoot me a comment. Let me know if you have any suggestions, if you have any places that you know that we could go. Oh, and I also wanted to mention that Restored from Within, we actually not only partner with organizations in Georgia, but in 2021, we sponsored a surprise Valentine's Day, a surprise Valentine's Day party for the women in the Philippines that I met in 2018 when I went there to help rescue those survivors. So it's actually been an amazing journey having this organization for 2 years, and I would love, love, love for you guys to partner with me and with the team. If you guys are in the Atlanta area, please sign up as a volunteer. Come and join us and meet some of these amazing survivors. And if you are all across the world, please just click that donate button. Any little bit counts. I'm definitely going to go full force this 2023 year. We are so excited with all the things we have planned. So I would love for you guys to partner with us. I don't want to make this video too long, but if you want me to do a separate video about my organization and exactly what we do more in depth, please let me know down below. I will put the link to our website in the description box below. And I gotta finish combing out these curls, but thank y'all for watching this video. I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.